Thank you. We are back with you. Our apologies. We had network challenges because of load shedding. We believe one of the towers went down and it affected our Wi-Fi. Thank you for being here. You are welcome. We're just waiting for our guests to join. But as we wait for them to rejoin the Zoom link, please be ready with your questions. This session is right in time for our winter season. You know, ladies, it's during winter where we all complain to say, I cannot go out and exercise. It's too cold. I'm eating a lot because I want to keep warm, eating those soups. It is tonight that these two specialists will assist us in giving us tips on how to make sure that we keep our shape even as we go through the season of winter. You are welcome, Sesmandla. Welcome back, Sesisbekezelo. And
thank you
so much to our viewers, our Facebook viewers, our YouTube viewers, and the listeners on Bold Moves Radio. You are listening to Prudent Woman on Bold Moves Radio with myself, Rhulani Baloyi. Today we're talking healthy living for prudent women. And in the studio, I have with me Sesimandla Mabunda. She is the dietitian, our resident dietitian. And I have Sesilelo Spekezelo Miaka. She is our biokinetic. And when we cut off, we had invited Sesisbekezelo. Please, Sesisbekezelo, if you can tell us what a biokinetic does and what is it that one has to do in order to be a biokinetic for the benefit of our children and the mothers who may want to advise their children in different careers that are out there.
Okay, thank you, Sis Rhulani, for the opportunity. Hello, everyone. My name is Miaka Sibegezelo. I am a biokineticist by profession. As bios, we deal with injury rehabilitation, management of chronic diseases. We also do postural correction, we do strength and conditioning, we do weight management, healthy and wellness with the use of exercise. I also do healthy and wellnesses where I go to communities educating them about the management and the disease itself. For one to do a bio, he or she needs to go for science streams. He or she needs to do physical sciences, life sciences, and maths in high school. And then when he or she goes to the varsity, she needs to do human movement sciences or sports sciences, and then go for honors in biokineticist. And then after that honors, he or she needs to get an internship within the 2 years of completing his or her honors to be qualified as a biokineticist.
Oh, okay.
The internship here is compulsory. You need to go through that.
Yes. Can one call you a doctor, Ceci? Can one call a biokinetic a doctor?
No, I'm not a doctor. Maybe you can call me a clinician, but yeah, because doctors, it's something different.
Oh, so biokinetics are clinicians. And how different are they from someone who has done sports management?
Okay, a sport management person, they only focused on, they only focus on the management part and the sports itself. But I won't dwell much on that one. I will only talk about me as a bio on how I might differ from them. So bios, we can both prescribe exercises as sport management people or personal trainers, but we're not the same, because for us to be able to prescribe an exercise, we need to go through a certain process, a certain screening to see the baseline measurements and to see what are we dealing with to be able to assist that person, because we know that people are different, so we can't prescribe same exercises for different people.
Thank you, Seslelo. Our listeners, I was asking those questions so that you can also hear that this is what this person has done and what they can do, so that you can be prepared with your questions. Remember, I said you can share your questions with us on our WhatsApp number,
Yes.
so that we can be able to attend to them. So that as we end this session, I expect each one of us to have changed our narratives by we keep on saying I cannot exercise, but it's possible. When I engaged with her, I actually realized that there is nothing that should stop one to exercise, and healthy living can never be attained without engaging in exercise. You know, our resident dietitian, Sesmandla, but let me invite her. Introduce yourself, Sesmandla, and just tell us, how do a dietitian link with exercise when we talk healthy living?
Thank you to the viewers, and thank you to our listeners and Rhulani. My name is Mandla Mavunda, like she has already said. So a dietitian works or looks at how food affects our overall well-being, how food affects your mental condition, your nutritional condition, your physical condition. That's what a dietitian does. So obviously fitness form part of that overall well-being of a person. If a person is considered to be holistically healthy, they're healthy nutritionally via the food that they consume and the physical activity that the fitness part will take part, then that person is considered to be holistically healthy. So that's how these two interact with each other.
Thank you. I'm not sure, Sesmandla, you had been, you were freezing by the time you were responding. If I can request you to just come back again and take us through. Yes, I'm sorry about that.
Not a problem. I was saying a dietitian looks at the nutritional component of a human being, like how food affects the way we live, how food affects the way we heal from disease, how food affects our physical and mental stability as human beings. So food and the amount of activity or exercise or fitness goes hand in hand when someone is trying to be holistically healthy. So if someone is said to be a healthy, balanced person, that person means has a balance between the type of food or the food that they eat, which is the nutrition part, and the fitness part, which is the physical part. So that's how these two subjects or aspects interact with each other.
So my understanding is that there cannot be good nutrition without exercise, and you say you are healthy. There must be a balance between the two.
Yes, there must be a balance. For someone to be considered holistically healthy, there must be a balance between the two aspects.
And says, you know, as women, we always go all out, you know, we want the best for our families. And at times, as we go all out, we look for, you know, all different types of information. And there is different myths that we come across in terms of eating a balanced meal. Someone will say, you must just have the 7 colors. Someone will say this, someone will say this, take off the skin of the chicken, you know, all this type of myths that we come across. What can you advise us as women? What will you consider a balanced meal that we can prepare for our families?
Okay, thank you, Sis. Maybe to backtrack a bit, if we look at weight or healthy eating or a balanced diet, we only have the 4 groups that we get from the food that we eat. That is the carbohydrates, the protein, the fat, and the vitamins and minerals. And sometimes we also include water, although it's not a nutrient. All we need to do is how to work around these groups for us to be healthy. Now, a scientific definition of how we gain weight is that we take in more energy than we use. So for us not to gain any weight is to eat those 5 groups that I've spoken about, and to make sure that energy in through what we consume with our mouth is actually equal to energy out, which is now where Lelo will come in with the physical activity. Because whatever energy you consume, you need to be able to also take it out via now physical activity. The problem is anyone who tries to help people to lose weight, they need to try and come up with a trick to make people control their portion sizes. All we are trying to do is to control the amount of energy that we eat through our mouths. Now, some diet will tell you stop eating carbohydrates. Some will tell you stop eating fat. Some will tell you only eat protein or only eat this type of meat. Some will say only eat this cabbage diet and whatnot. All those things, Ceci, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, we are just trying to control the amount of energy that we put in so that it's lower than the energy that we take out. And when we do that, that's how we lose weight. So now what I would advise someone is just to, step back. Let's relax and let's go back to the basics. Basic number one, we need all those 5 groups for us to be considered healthy. Weight loss, by the way, is just a byproduct of someone who is living a healthy lifestyle. Weight loss should not be the goal, but the goal should be, I want to be healthy so that I don't succumb to any sicknesses, because when I gain weight, then all those silent killers, your high blood pressures, your diabetics, your high cholesterol, they come for me because of now this lot of weight that I have in me. So I hope that I'm talking to someone who would now look at weight and food as medicine rather than a means for them to lose weight, because weight loss really, it's only but a byproduct of us living healthy lifestyles. And as prudent women, I think that's what we should strive for, to be healthy rather than to focus on losing weight. Because by the way, being thin does not equal to being healthy. That's one thing that we should also look at. So you can have someone who looks bulky, not because they have a lot of fat, but because they have a bit more protein than the standard person. That person looks bulky, but they are healthy. They're not sick or anything like that. You can have someone who's very thin, but they have all the silent killing diseases that I'm talking about. So let's change the objective of us wanting to eat right and wanting to eat healthy. Let's move away from an unattainable standard of being extremely thin and move towards us now being healthy, so that we live long, so that we live a quality life, so that, we see our children grow. Let's change the narrative around wanting to lose weight and why we want to lose weight.
Oh, you have said a mouthful, Ceci Mandla. I believe all the women who are listening to us today, we will be able to go out and change our families, because they say you teach a woman, you have trained the whole society. And we are so accustomed to it that when we talk food, the first thing that comes to mind is, won't it make me fat? Won't it make me fat? We have lost the initial intention of eating, because us eating is to maintain our bodies, is to make sure that our bodies can continue to function. But now we have changed it to eating so that we remain slim. And there are some of us who are eating because something is nice on the lips. You said a mouthful today. And I see a question from one of our university students. She's asking, when you are at university, it's very difficult to eat a balanced meal. What will be your tips that you can give a university student on how to eat a balanced meal like you were explaining?
Thank you, Ceci. Okay, let's also demystify that. How is that difficult? I'm talking about the 5 groups. I'm talking about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates do not change. Even when you're at school, brown bread is brown bread, and that's a carbohydrate. I'm talking protein. Even when you're at school, a glass of milk, it's still a glass of milk, which is protein. I'm talking about fats and oil. A teaspoon of butter is still a teaspoon of butter. I'm talking about vitamins and minerals. when we are talking vegetables, even if it's frozen vegetables, we are still talking vitamins and minerals. So again, let's go back and look at the basics. Are you able, as a university student who could be in a self-catering unit or in a catering unit, some of the residences offer, are you able to select what you need based on the 5 groups that you're supposed to have? I think that is where we need to look at. So regardless of where you are, you can still be able to select accordingly. Ceci, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so another tip then, if they say they are not able to prepare their own food, for example, we do have products such as NutriBoost. NutriBoost contains all those 5 groups that I've spoken about. It contains your carbohydrates in the right proportion that any lady will need. It will contain 20% of your protein. I mean, it gives you a nice balanced amino acid profile in your omega-3, omega-6 fats and oils, and it gives you about 80% of your vitamins and minerals. And this is one group which is so difficult for us to get on a daily basis as women, because number one, like she said, we don't have time to prepare food. If we prepare the food, we don't even know how to prepare the food properly. So a product such as NutriBoost caters for you, and you only need 1 serving in the morning and you're good to go. So you can either look at now changing the type of food that you buy with the knowledge of now the 5 food groups, or you can either replace one meal with a product such as NutriBoost.
Oh, thank you, Ceci. I think must be a balance. This question, I will not leave it, even though we are mindful of our time. It comes from one of our male viewers. He wants to know, where do we get the fat that we need for our bodies?
Okay, thank you. So the fat that we need for our bodies, for example, butter. Butter gives us the fat. And with fat, let me also add this. How you need to know, because most people say, oh, so fat is bad. Fat is not bad, because fat gives us the insulation, especially now that we are going into winter. When our organs get too cold, we need the layer of fat underneath our skin to keep us insulated or warm. So the food products where you get, we've got good fat products, like now your margarine, your butter. That is a good, because it has a balance of omega-3 and omega-6. We have your olive oils that are high in your omega-3s and omega-6. But again, let me add something on those good fats and oils. Olive oil, for example, is good when eaten in its raw format. The minute you start cooking with olive oil and it's more than 5 minutes, just know that the bonds break down and it becomes like your standard sunflower or cooking oil. So again, when we eat these products, one thing I can advise people is to always read the back of the nutritional table with the food products that they get. So that also helps you to know what you're getting and how much of that thing you're getting as far as the 5 groups is concerned. But coming back on the issue of fat, even avocados have got natural fats. Vegetable oil is also very good for that. So you don't necessarily need to go out and buy extreme or expensive oils that will promise you the world, but your vegetables can also give you that.
Okay. Thank you. Our dietitian told us that there must be a balance between our nutrition and exercise. Cecilelo, what will you consider a balance or adequate exercise for a person to stay healthy?
Okay, in generally, according to ACSM guidelines, it says to be physical active, you have to exercise at least 5 to 7 days a week.
No, you can continue, Seslelo.
Okay, you have to exercise for like 5 to 7 days a week. It has to be 30 minutes a day. You can, if you feel like you're fit enough, you can progress it to 60 minutes a day, because you have to make 300 minutes or 150 minutes a week. So your exercise should consist of 4 things. It has to have a warm-up, a conditioning, which is an actual program. It has to have a cool down, and stretches. But stretches, you have to stretch straight after a warm-up and straight after a cool down. That's a balanced exercise. But then exercise on its own cannot be that significant. Obviously, you have to include your diet, you have to include your psychologist, because you have to be mentally ready, especially when it comes to weight management, because you might think that you want to lose weight, but you're not ready to lose weight. And also with diet, you can go to the gym today, but if you go home and eat unhealthy, it's not going to be effective. So it goes hand in hand with diet and psychologist. And also the discipline. You have to be disciplined if you want to embark on this fitness journey, because if you're not disciplined, you're not going to make it.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Streaming 24/7.
24/7. Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika, nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika, nakupenda sana.
Welcome back. You are with us on Bold Moves Radio, Prudent Woman, with myself, Rhulani Baloyi, and my guests, Mandla Mabunda and Lelo Miaka. Welcome, Sesi Lelo. There's a question from one of our listeners. They are saying they have a back pain due to weight gain. That's what the scans show, that the spine has shifted. Is there any exercise that you can suggest that will help them you can help them to do without being operated? They have gained weight and the scans show that their spines have shifted, but they still want to exercise to correct what has happened.
Okay, with that situation, I can be able to help. There are exercises that I can recommend, but firstly, I have to go through an assessment. I have to see how much is she weighing or he weighing, and then I have to see what she can do and what she can do, so that I can be able to come up with a program based on what she is able to do.
Oh, so the question that comes from one of our viewers on Facebook that says, is there a danger on just embarking on exercise without consulting a biokinetic? Will you say it's dangerous to embark on exercise without engaging as biokinetic, or it's acceptable?
I would say there might be a danger, because, for example, like when you're having like hypertension, because hypertension is the silent killer, you won't know if you have it, not unless you check it. So you might go to the gym only to find that your blood pressure is very high, and then you encounter problems. So it's better to consult and get a clearance before you go to the gym.
Wow, this is very interesting. You know, we hear about all these different health specialists, and at times as women, as people in general, we tend to believe there is no need to go and see them. Just, you think it's for something. Like myself, I thought biokinetics are for sports people, those professionals. And today you hear that these are things, these are people that we should consult in order to make sure that whatever we want to engage in, it's in good order. I would like to believe even a dietitian, we need to consult a dietitian in order for them to be able to diagnose us, to check what is it that you lack in your body. We need not wait until it's too late. Prudent women, we have to be futuristic. We prepare for the future. one should not wait until there is danger and say, how do you help me? It brings me to the issue of the elderly people. I know amongst our viewers, amongst our listeners, we've got those people who are pensioners, struggling with quite a number of chronic diseases. Some of them are not able to exercise. Some of them, habit is built over time. You cannot wake up and build a habit. You find that they did not know how to prepare all these meals that you are talking about. What will you advise them? Because some of them, when they go to see a medical specialist, they're told that they lack this nutrient, they lack this. What will you advise them in terms of taking supplements to help to meet their nutritional requirements? Because as they age, even their bodies, some of the body, the functions start to give them challenges.
Okay, Ceci. If I can come in there, women, as we go through the ages and through the years, also men go through the same thing. Our body does not function the same. Some of the mechanisms that are helping us to survive become slower. Even a simple thing such as walking becomes slower. So the more we age, the more we need now to make sure that we are getting the right nutrients so that we don't age quicker. Also, we can delay the process of aging. So when it comes to the elderly, for example, there are specific nutrients that they need more of by virtue of them growing in age. For example, calcium. Calcium become one of those nutrients that is now in need or increased in an elderly person. So in that case, before they could only be told to take pills. So they had to buy different kinds of tablets that will be giving them different kind of vitamins or calcium vitamins or magnesium and phosphorus and all those things. However, as we move with technology, you don't need to have 1,000 bottles of tablets that give you all these different nutrients. You can get those nutrients or vitamins even in simple products that will give you also the bioavailability of those vitamins. For example, calcium or your phosphorus or whatever it is that an elderly person was diagnosed with. So yes, supplements are not bad. However, our elderly people should know what type of supplements they are taking and for what, because you find an elderly person now taking about 5 different types of supplements. And remember, when they get inside your body, there's what we call drug-nutrient interaction. So you might find that the tablets that they are taking for their lifestyle-related or those silent killers diseases that most of them suffer from, they are interacting negatively with the supplement that they are now buying. So before anyone, all of us, before anyone goes out there to buy a supplement or particular item on the shelf seeking to improve their nutritional status, please consult your dietitian or your doctor, who will now check what drug are you on for whatever condition that you have. Maybe it's a chronic condition, before you can now start taking supplements that seek now to supplement your nutritional needs as an elderly person. So like I said before, now it will sound like I'm just promoting a product or what, but a product again that has all the vitamins that are required in good quantities and that are bioavailable is that one that I spoke about. That is the product that I'm familiar with. That is the NutriBoost. It has a complement of those vitamins that all of us really need for us to be considered to be nutritionally balanced. So they can go to their doctors, they can consult their dietitians, they will be able to advise based on their history of illness that they will be presenting to the doctor. So yes, supplements are not necessarily bad, but knowledge behind the supplement is what I would say people should look for before they decide to buy any particular supplement.
Oh, thank you so much. What we're getting is there is no way we can consume things without first checking with specialists. And I know I'm also a culprit. I believe you are also a culprit as you are listening to me. We meet each other in functions and wow, our bodies, someone saying, yo, you look so good in that dress. You have lost weight. And the next question that comes from us ladies, it's what are you using? They will either tell us of a product, they will tell us of a diet that we all jump into it. Ceci, our dietitian, is it correct for us to just grab any diet that is out there or whatever product that someone says they've used to lose weight? Is it not harmful for us in the future?
Okay, thank you, sis. It's always interesting getting that question. And the simple answer, like I said, is that we gain weight because we consume more energy than the body needs. So the extra or the excess energy that we consume now gets stored as fat. And then that's how we gain weight. Now, but the opposite, it's not as easy as the gaining of the weight. When it comes to losing the weight, it's so difficult because you almost need to now make yourself to be in a negative energy balance so that you can now lose the weight. That's why we call it shedding the weight, because you have to lose the weight that you have gained while still making sure that you are still consuming a healthy, balanced diet. So, Mina, I would advise all our prudent women, let us forget about miracle diets. What we need to do is to first understand that, okay, how much does my body need for it to live? Right? How much does my body need for it to be considered to be healthy? The only way you are going to find that is if you consult a dietitian who will take a number of tests, who will ask you for your history, who will ask you for a couple of questions, and to understand the overall picture of what is making you gain weight. Remember, food is that is making you gain weight, but there are other things that complement that. Sometimes even our stress levels also make us to gain weight, because there's what we call emotional eating, there's what we call comfort eating. Most women, when they are not emotionally okay, what do? We comfort ourselves through the food that we eat. So my simplest advice to anyone who's trying to lose weight and therefore live healthy is to first, number one, check what is the thing that is making you to gain weight. Because as women, there are a number of areas of our lives that sometimes make us to eat more food than normal. Like, for example, when people are in their menstrual cycle, sometimes they tend to eat more. When it's cold, now it's winter, we don't drink enough water, we become dehydrated. Now, dehydration can mask itself as hunger sometimes. That's why it's always good to drink water before you eat, because then that's how you check whether you are hungry or you are just dehydrated. So any diet, Ceci, that will tell you to restrict the amount of energy that you consume, therefore the amount of food that you eat, through either cutting out a particular group or cutting out your portion sizes, obviously will make you lose weight for that short-term period. The problem is that it's not sustainable, because for your body to be considered healthy, those 5 groups, you have to have them. So if you continue restricting a particular group, for example, you stop eating all carbohydrates, you are not serving yourself very well in the long term, because your body still needs those carbohydrates for it to be considered to be healthy. If you, for example, only consume a certain vegetables like cabbage in your quest for losing weight, all the other vitamins that you're supposed to get from other vegetables and fruits, then you miss out on those things. In the long run, you're shortchanging yourself. So my question is, Please, let's forget about miracle diets. Let's go back to the basics. Let's understand the amount of energy that our body needs, and let's try and stick to that, and let's balance that out. And let's always keep in mind our emotional state. So you are able to measure what state makes me to eat more. When I'm stressed, I eat more. When I'm angry, I eat more. Then you manage that. That is, I think, one way that we can be sustainable in us keeping the weight that we want while maintaining our health.
Oh, thank you so much. You have changed our attitude. This talk changes our attitude. For one, I thought drinking water before you eat was to try to fill up the stomach. I didn't know about checking the hydration levels. And, it encourages us as we get into the winter season. Ladies, let us be ready. Let us focus on making sure that we eat a healthy and a balanced meal, and we exercise in order to come out of the winter season the way we wish to be, even as we went in, because we always complain about the winter season. Sesi Lelo, I'm listening to Sesimandla talking about what you need to do in order to say you stay fit. You must eat enough for your body. Even as we're mindful, our viewers and listeners, because of the the technical challenge that we had due to load shedding, we have added 5 minutes. Please bear with us. We'll finish our talk at 7:05. We are only left with 15 minutes. Please continue to send your questions until just before 10 minutes. We'll stop taking your questions. I would like to ask, there's a question to Cecilelo to say, when you say you are exercising to lose weight, what is it that you need to do?
Okay, thank you for the question. When you want to lose weight, the first thing that you need to know, you need to set targets for yourself. Let's say you're weighing 80 or 90, or maybe your BMI is above 30, which means you're obese. So you want to go maybe to overweight or within the range to be normal. You need to know all those things first before you say, yes, now I want to lose weight. Because you have to set a target for yourself. You need to be dedicated. You need to have a discipline towards that goal that you want to achieve. But the exercises that you have to do, you have to focus more on aerobic exercises where you're focusing on large muscles, but you have to include a little bit of flexibility and resistance to make it a balanced exercise program. You have to do it like 5 to 7 days a week. It has to be 30 minutes minimum, at least 30 minutes a day. You have to spend your time like for a session, and that session must include a warm-up and a cool down.
30 minutes
and
is
also,
doable. Yes, you
I
can
didn't hear that.
I'm saying 30
And
minutes,
also,
I think is doable.
There are so many things that you have to take into account when you're looking at the weight management program, like weight management as a whole. So you can get two people with the same weight, maybe. You can get a bodybuilder, and then you can get someone who's living a sedentary lifestyle, who's not like physical active, but they're weighing the same weight. That doesn't mean that both of them are unfit. This is the muscle mass, and then this is the fat mass. So to be able to see where you're standing, you have to check your fat percentage. So the normal range for females and male is different. So for females, it has to be between 21 and 33% to be considered as normal. And then for males, it has to be between 19, it has to be less than 19 to be normal fat percentage. And also we have to check the fat percent, like the waist hip ratio. It's expected for males to have a pot belly or to have like a stomach, because they are expected to range around 102 centimeter, but they're not supposed to go beyond that. And then for females, they are expected to be within 88 centimeter, because they're expected to be a pear shape. So those are things that you have to take into account when you're thinking about losing weight. You have to know all that and be dedicated and be committed.
Will you advise the same 30 minutes for an old woman, someone above 60 years, and someone with chronic medication, who has been diagnosed with chronic disease, and someone who is pregnant? Will you advise them to still go for 30 minutes, or they can, trim down?
Okay, firstly, I will start with like old people. For an old person, it's not a matter of losing weight per se, but it's a matter of keeping fit and healthy. Because you know that when you grow, some systems that go down, so you lose balance. Your mental health is not the same. Your physical fitness is not the same. So we do exercises based on what you can do. It can be 15 minutes and it can be less for an old person. And then also the type of exercises, we're only doing like exercises that we do in our daily living. That's a sit to stands. You ask the person to walk up and down. Those are activities that you do with an old patient. And then for a pregnant woman are encouraged to exercise throughout their pregnancy, but with an exercise prescription modified based on their symptoms, discomfort, and their abilities, because we are not the same. But they should exercise for like 3 to 4 days, at least for 15 minutes at a low intensity. When you go to a bio, they can be able to show you how to calculate exercise intensity. It's a long process, but it's doable. And then females, like pregnant women, are not expected to do some exercises during 16 weeks of pregnancy. You can't lie down, like you can't do exercises facing up, lying supine. So those are restrictions. And then you also have to take into account some things when you're dealing with a pregnant patient. That's why they have to exercise under supervision. And then they have to, like, their exercises is categorized into 2 forms. There's a moderate one and the light one. For a person who weigh or used to weigh like less than 25 kg per square meter of BMI, is expected to exercise at a moderate intensity. And then for a person who was weighing like above 25, like who was overweight before pregnancy, so that person is expected to exercise at a light intensity based on those readings. And then after giving birth, they are also expected to come back to gym. They're also expected to exercise. But for natural birth, you're expected to come back to the gym after 4 to 6 weeks of giving birth. And then for C-section, you're expected to come back to the gym after 8 to 10 weeks of giving birth.
Oh, thank you. And then when it comes to children, I heard someone saying it's not wise to allow children to exercise. At what age should a child start exercising? Because we realize that all these things, it's because we try to manage them when it's late, instead of us starting from the beginning and doing the right thing. What age will you advise a child to start exercising?
I would say when a kid is 6 years old, he or she can start exercising, but obviously it's not going to be the same as the 12-year-old child exercise. It's going to be different. For 6-year-old child, it's going to be more of playing like games or playing like playing sports. Yeah. It has to be a physical activity, not an exercise per se. There mustn't be weight. Maybe you can make them run, make them jump, something like that. It doesn't have to be a serious exercise program. It has to be fun to make them happy.
We thank you so much about that. We now know, ladies, even our children should start exercising. We cannot say they are still children and they sit with their gadgets the whole day. We are not being prudent women because we're not looking forward to their future. And when they get to our age, they will blame us, and they will be correct, because it is our role to advise our children and make sure that they have understanding of how to look after themselves in order to have a better future, and not get to be like us. You know, some of us, we have to get the doctor telling us that you cannot eat this anymore, you cannot do this anymore. And it's mainly because we left out all these things until it was too late. I see there's a question for us from our YouTube channel. Someone is asking, how do you make sure that you control your portions in your plate? How do you measure your portions for your plate?
Okay, thank you, Ceci. This is very interesting because a lot of people, because we are so used to eating big portions, people always argue about, hey, we will not be full or anything, but once you try it, you get used to it. Simple form, I don't know if you can see my hand, simple way of controlling your portion sizes quickly. Your fist, the size of your fist should be the amount of starch that is in your plate. So now let's look at a plate and all those four food groups that I spoke about. So your fist, the size of your fist is the amount of starch that should be on your plate. Now we'll look at the size of your palm. The size of your palm should be your portion size. And I know there's someone laughing or saying, it's impossible, but that is actually how it is. And then now the size of now your vegetables should be now your 2 fists. So as you see, vitamins and minerals, again, very big portion of your overall plate because of the role that vitamins and minerals play in our overall health. Okay, and at the size, the last group we spoke about, fats and oil. How you measure fats and oil, you see the tip of your pinky finger, your last finger, that is the amount of oil that you should use in a pot when you're cooking for your family per head. So it's equal to 1 teaspoon of oil. That is the portion control of all the food groups that I spoke about. I know most of the time when we talk about this with men, they always grumble. But I always say, put it into practice first and see if you are not full now for longer periods now. Obviously, before then we now go back and we check what type of starch. We need high fiber starch because high fiber will make you fuller for longer. So those are some of the things that when someone comes for a consultation, we look at. We not only just check the portion control, but we check what type of starch that you're eating. What type of vegetables are you eating? Are you eating vegetables that are bulky, that will give you more of these vitamins and minerals in a short space of time, and that will make you fuller for longer? And obviously water as well. Water also bulks up everything. So you don't get to feel like you are hungry all the time because water replaces that dehydration that I spoke about. So those are the portion sizes that we will recommend.
Oh, it's so interesting. And what I'm getting is God has designed us in a way that we have everything that we need in us.
Yeah.
You don't need a measurement cup or anything. You have yourself to use as a measure, because I would like to believe, Sis Mandla, my plate will not be the same as your plate because we do not have the same size of a fist, our palms, our fingers, all these things. So it's interesting. And we see that for us to be healthy, we have everything in us. You know, it's all about being aware. That's why the scripture that says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, it's so true. I have family members, friends who engaged in exercise thinking that they are doing themselves good, but in the process landed themselves in hospital beds. And only because they did not have knowledge to know that before you embark on these things, there are certain things that needs to be checked. Some of them, it's when they discover that they've got high blood pressure They just started, you see your neighbor running, you think you are just like them, and you run at the same pace as your neighbor. But today we are learned. We have been given information. Ladies, let us go all out there and become prudent women for our families and our society, to educate them. Doing something good, if you are doing it with knowledge, it becomes something great. But if you do something good out of ignorance, it can tend to come and harm you. Our time, it's gone. Even as we said, we are extending the 5 minutes. We only left with 2 minutes. Thank you for joining us, our viewers, our listeners. We trust that you have enjoyed the session and you have learned so much. You will go out and do your exercises with from an informed decision. You will go out, prepare your meals from an informed decision. It's not about copying the next door neighbor, but it is about yourself. Ladies, as we prepare to get into the winter season, we are empowered. We will not go into the winter season fearful. I know most of us were fearful of the winter season. You'd be like, oh, I will come out without my summer body. It's like we can ask God to take away the winter season just for us to remain at that shape that we had all this time. Thank you so much to our guests. Before you say bye to all of us, what will you like to say to the women in terms of exercise as we get into the winter season? It's difficult to wake up. The 30 minutes, you can only get it either in the morning or evening. And if it's cold, the blanket calls you on that couch to watch TV. What can you say to us as we get into the winter season to encourage us to continue just with that 30 minutes exercise to stay fit?
Okay, thank you. What I can say to all of you as my advice, that 30 minutes to achieve that 30 minutes in a day, you can break it down into 10 minutes a day, and then during the day I take another 10 minutes, or break it down into 15 in the morning and 15 at night. You've done your 30 minutes a day. And then to say goodbye, I want to say stay fit, eat healthy, and stay hydrated.
Thank you so much, our biokinetic. We so much appreciate the information that you gave us. And I'm sure, ladies, some of us will start looking around. Seslelo, her practice is in Cape Town, but I'm sure you can contact her. You can drop us a message on our Facebook page or on the WhatsApp number that I've given you if you want to consult, get more information. Sesmandla, what can you say to us in terms of those soups that were prepared for our winter season?
Thank you, Ceci. I would love to say to all prudent women, let's be kind to ourselves. Let's be kind to ourselves. Weight loss should not be our objective. Let's strive to be more healthy. Let's go back to the basics. Let's try and have those 4 groups that I spoke about. You will see, and you control your portions. You will see that everything, it will fall into place. It will not happen overnight because we want overnight results, but it will eventually happen. Once you start following that and you get used to eating that, you will feel a difference in your body. And that is the only sustainable way. Let's forget about the miracle diets. They won't work for the longest time, and they are bringing us trouble. So that is my last words, and it was lovely being on this show as usual. Thank you, sis.
Thank you so much to our dietitian as well. Sis Manda, it's everywhere. She owns Masana Dietitians. She has got a product, a supplement, NutriBoost. You can contact us. We also have an opportunity for those who want to become distributors of the NutriBoost. You are welcome to contact us. Thank you to everyone, to our listeners. It has been wonderful. I trust that you are empowered to go and look after your families, look after yourselves, being kind to yourself. The dietitian and the fitness, the biokinetic did not warn us of any food that we are not supposed to eat. All they said is we must eat enough that we are going to utilize as energy. So it means we can go out and eat, but in good portions. Don't go and indulge. Go and eat according to your the requirements of your body. And this body, it's all that we need in order for us to impact the future, because without it, you cannot go anywhere. It's your license to be in this world. So let us look after it. Take care of yourself. Let us meet next week, same time, 6 o'clock until 7 o'clock. Bold Moves Radio, Prudent Woman with myself, Rhulani Baloyi. Thank you to our executive producer, Pastor Strike, and his co-producer, Nyeleti. Thank you so much. Have a blessed evening.